Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Denise Tan, and in tonight's Game Plan, we'll break down the Meralco Bolts' big win over Barangay Ginebra in the quarterfinals of the PBA Philippine Cup.
We'll also look ahead to the upcoming semis matchup between the TNT Tropang Giga and the Magnolia Hotshots. And the stage is set for the 2022 PVL Invitational Conference semifinals. We'll get a preview of the league's top 4 squads and more. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Hello, good evening. The Meralco Bolts officially booked their semis ticket with a heart-stopping victory in Game 3 against Barangay Ginebra in the 2022 PBA Philippine Cup quarterfinals. And joining us tonight to talk more about the historic win is Meralco Bolts assistant coach Luigi Trillo. Good evening and congratulations, coach. Good to see you again.
Hey, Boom. Hey, Denise. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Coach. Congratulations.
Coach, let's get into it right away. I'm interested to find out, prior to that game number 3, what was it like in terms of the preparation, in terms of the practices? Was there a feeling after the Ginebra win in game number 2 that, uh-oh, here we go again, here comes the conversations about the monkey on the back and all of that? Was there any kind of nerves for the team? Did you notice anything?
I think the Game 2, we had a chance to win. The last 5 minutes, I just felt, Hodge and Almazan lost a little bit of steam. I thought we overplayed them with minutes, and we lost our identity. Last 4 minutes, 5 minutes, we were up by 1, down by 1, and we had chances to win that game. So coming into Game 3, I just wanted to, get a bit more detailed in what we needed to do. And in any series, you try to focus on what you want to take away from the other team. Get them a bit uncomfortable, get you comfortable on the offensive side. So those were things that we tried to zone in, ika nga, and you want more than trying to talk to the players or give them motivation. I think the details was key for us, and I didn't expect game 3 to get that big lead, but I'm thankful, and I say thank you God that we got a 21-point lead, because Ginebra, with that 6-man crowd and their teamwork and chemistry, they came back, and they came back with a vengeance, and they almost pulled it off. They got the lead with 1 minute remaining.
Coach, I was actually going to ask about that. You were up by as much as 21 points. I think it was the last 60 seconds when they were up 104-103. But then Raymond Almazan, we were talking about this post-game, hit the biggest 3, arguably the biggest shot of his career. Just your thoughts about the whole situation and what Raymond did for Meralco.
Just proud of Raymond. You know what I mean? Tough as nails. We knew that Ginebra was attacking Raymond as the series progressed. They were attacking him, calling him up on pick and rolls. They were trying to take Clef Hodge out of that. But the nice thing that Raymond did was he stuck it out. And, it just shows also that the unselfishness of our players. It took Chris Newsom trusting Raymond and passing him the ball in that three-point line. But, Raymond's hit that shot, not only with us, but with rain or shine. And he's really developed that, right? He's from Letran, where he was known as more of a defensive gem and a hustle player. He's worked on his shooting, so can't be prouder of Raymond. I said it before, probably his biggest shot of his career. Tapos birthday pa niya tomorrow, so
tomorrow, diba?
Really happy for Raymond.
Yeah, it's his birthday tomorrow, and in context also, he had a rough 3 quarters prior to that fourth quarter where the run happened from Ginebra. All right, put into context, Coach Luigi, the feeling of getting over that hump and finally winning a series against Ginebra. What can you say about that?
I mean, any coach will say that, after a quarter, you move on, right? But how can you not take into consideration, Boom, that we've faced them so many times and with a lot of heartache. And I think the get over them this way when it comes down to like a knockout game, and to do it the way we did, that we held on, we kept our poise, and to me, what was really interesting was nobody shot after Raymond shot. It was back and forth defense, right? And I thought Cliff Hodge did a really good job of, he's the pillar. He's like the backbone of our defense, right? And we always try to keep that as our identity. We're number two in the league in defense, Magnolia number one. And he came down and he made a basketball play. And I was really proud of him because he moved his feet, he kept his hands up, and Scotty kind of moved him off with his hand. And I think even the commentator said that it was obviously an offensive foul. So what a time in the game to get that. And I think, I think it was shock for Ginebra because Ginebra's always, they've been so dominant, boom. I mean, you talk about Coach Tim, 24 championships, he knows what he's doing. You have Boss Al Francis, who's every year after they get a championship, they recruit somebody like a Pringle or a Stan Hardinger. It doesn't, and that's the significance of them being dominant because they do it the right way, right? And I think it was just shock to everyone that it came that way. And I've felt that we have some players who could chip in and contribute. We had Pasabol who had big shots, fearless. I thought he was big. Toto Jose, who came back from COVID. Toto puked at the halftime. Paolo came up and said, "Tor, you okay?" And he still wanted to play. So, at this point, it's just not one person. Even in my staff, everybody chipped in. Our governor, Coach Norman, giving inputs once in a while, calling me as busy as it was. So, it's just nice to see us come together, right? And sometimes people are asking me this morning, if we lost, how would you feel, right? 'Cause it would be like heartbreaking. Think about, you worked 21 points. Here we are again.
But you didn't, Coach. You didn't. So let's not talk about that anymore.
What we do want to talk about,
Yes.
Coach, is from one powerhouse team to another. You are going to be facing San Miguel in a best-of-7 series. And yung laban nyo in the elimination round, you got a 3-point victory over them. Is that something na kahit papano maganda-gandang baon as you go up against them in that very long and I'm pretty sure very tiring series?
Well, then, in fairness to San Miguel, Coach Leo wasn't there, and they had key players missing. Jericho Cruz wasn't there, Chris Ross wasn't there, Herndon wasn't there. I think Brondial wasn't there. So you have 4 key ingredients. And you look at San Miguel. I think they're the deepest team in the league. When you have Junmar, who's probably the best post player, and he's becoming the Junmar of old, and then you've got Tautua and Vic Manuel, who arguably both those guys are probably dominant in the post. If there's no Vic Manuel, they probably are 1 and 2 in terms of best post players, right? But what they've done is they've added pieces. They've added a Brondial, they've added the Jericho Cruz, Leo Osius boys who play roles, right? Like significant roles, like Chris Ross. So it completes their team, and we're looking forward to it. I think it was good that we were able to beat them that first time. Obviously, it'll be different this second time, but it's a 7-game series,
Right.
and the advantage those guys have is they have the depth.
Right.
And normally, if you have a short rotation, that kind of when the games are back to back, one after the other, you kind of feel that. No? But I personally feel to our advantage is we've been playing. We just came off a tough series. And we haven't had a 10-day and 8-day rest, so I
Right.
think we'll come out sharp. But obviously, the dominant team in terms of personnel and depth should go to San Miguel.
Well, the
right?
good thing about it, Coach, is it's a 7-game series, and we're going to have a lot of time to talk about it game per game per game. So we'll have that chance in the future. Coach, don't go anywhere. We're going to need you for our next segment, okay? In the meantime, after the break, we look ahead to the other side of the semis as we preview the matchup between the TNT Tropang Giga and the Magnolia Hotshots. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Welcome back to the game. It's the calm before the storm of the PBA Philippine Cup semis, where the TNT Tropang Giga are set to square off against the Magnolia Hotshots. And still with us to preview this upcoming matchup is PBA analyst Luigi Trillo. Hey, Coach. So we know that in the semis matchup, maglalaban nga itong TNT kontra Magnolia. But for you, why do you think this matchup is going to be so good and intense for the semis?
I think you have two teams that are well coached, okay? And then you look at Magnolia, I mean, they have pitbulls there. You have Halalon, you have Baroka, you have Abueva. They just create so much chaos defensively, right? And it's just such a hard matchup. I don't think you have any team that has those three, right? And then you complement smooth guys like Sanggalang and Paulie. So I think they're playing the best basketball right now. And they give fits for other teams. When you look at the other side of the spectrum, you look at TNT, dominant, explosive guard. So obviously Jason Castro, you got Mikey Williams, and Pogo is very, very solid for them, right? Mikey just seems to dominate a lot, but they question his defense. So maybe they'll be able to do some things against him. And then you look at that matchup also. It's a beautiful matchup. You got Sanggalang, the scorer, against Aram, who plays great defense. So there's gonna be no giving in here. And make no mistake, these are two solid, tough teams.
Right.
And I think it's gonna be a good one.
And you did prepare a couple of matchups that you think are going to be key in the series. Can you give us a couple of them? Like, I know you mentioned Kelly Williams, Calvin Abueva. Can you talk about these matchups, Coach?
Well, Kelly Williams is a vet, right? He came out of retirement, but he's very solid, and he's no business, and he won't take anything from Calvin. Well, Calvin's the type I've had him, fortunately, in Alaska, I was able to work with him, and you've seen him through the years how he changes the game. And he's a different breed. He's just all over the court. And I think that matchup's going to be pivotal because Calvin can really make or break Magnolia. And then he's been playing wonders there because he fits in like a T with Halalon and Baroka. And he's inspired. I think ever since he's come into Magnolia, I think they've been solidly there in the finals and in the semis. So Bueva's going to be a big factor with Williams. On the other hand, I also had, aside from Abueva, there as you see him make a shot, the guard matchup.
Right.
You've got Baroka and Halalon. Halalon's playing really, really well. He pushes the pace all over the court, steals. But you look at what Halalon and Baroka do. They don't only score, they defend. And really, you look at them pound for pound, arguably they could be two of the best defenders in the guard position, right up there in the top 5 of the guards in the PBA. And then you look at the other side, you've got explosive guards in Castro, the veteran, and then you've got Mikey Williams, right? You can see Mikey right now, even 1-on-1, people can't stop him. So it's gonna be interesting how, something's gotta give. You've got the number 1 team on defense, Magnolia, and you've got the firepower of those guards, the explosive guards of Talk and Text.
Coach, you talked about individual matchups, but looking at these two teams collectively, what do you think will be keys for them as they try and get first blood in this series?
Well, both coaches, champion coaches, very experienced. I think you're gonna see Magnolia try to really get all over Mikey, get all over Jason, pick up the pace, right? And you're gonna see also from the other side, we're talking Tex. We know their scores, but Coach Shot watching his games, he's really tried to put a defensive mindset on Talking Tex. So there's gonna be a lot of matchups there. You're gonna see there's gonna be Sanggalang against Aram. I think that's gonna be a good matchup. And I'm curious to see how these two guards play the other guards. We haven't even put in Pogo and Paulie.
Right.
We know what Paulie is all about, and Pogo can light it up as well. So I think the nice thing here is they're heavyweights. There's nobody's shocked that both these teams are in.
Yeah.
And you want to see the best playing the best with no injuries. And I think that's what the crowd, that's what the fans want to see. And I think that's what we're going to see here. There's no injuries and they're all healthy.
Yeah, and we can't wait to witness that series as well as yours in the next one against San Miguel Beermen, that best of 7 series. Both sides are going to be equally exciting. Coach Luigi, thanks for your time. Get some rest, get some sleep, say hi to the family, and good luck with the next series.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks, Anis.
We'll see you soon. Now, in other hoop news, FIBA Basketball has unveiled the World Cup 2023 mascot named JIPP, which stands for the 3 host countries, Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Over 100,000 participants joined the naming poll, and the fans decided on the moniker which unites the 3 nations. Let's watch this.
Let's all welcome the official mascot of FIBA Basketball World Cup 2023, JIPP!
This is a celebration of the World Cup 23, the launch of our mascot, JIPP. So JIPP, a robot created by 3 kids, Kalai from the Philippines, Kato from Japan, and Dewey from Indonesia. They created this great robot called JIPP. It stands for Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. And we're here to celebrate his launch and the fact that we're 390 days away from the World Cup 23 tipping off here in the Philippines. You know, yesterday I saw JIPP for the first time. And I was actually really excited about it because I know the work that all 3 countries have put together in telling the story. I'd seen the artwork, I'd seen some of the animation, and then yesterday when it burst behind the screen, I was actually genuinely excited to see what he looked like, the way that he interacts with people, and I think it's a great mascot for a World Cup. We know that you love basketball here in the Philippines, but you have to prove it. 25 August 2023, you need to come out, you need to buy tickets, you need to come sport the Gilas, you need to come and be a part of it. Don't just say you love it, show us that you love it and come out here. We look forward to seeing you from 25 August 2023.
Now, after the break, we'll talk about the 4 teams who made it through the first round of the 2022 PBL Invitational Conference. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Welcome back to the game. The cast is complete for the semifinalists of the 2022 PVL Invitational Conference. And to talk more about these squads in the heart of volleyball, we have with us PVL analyst Neil Flores. Welcome back to the game, Neil. Let's get into it right away. The matchup is between, well, first PLDT and Signal. So let's talk about the Signal HT Spikers first. How did they get here? What has been their strength so far in going into the semifinals?
Signal has always been a complete team. When they acquire their new talents, na kompleto talaga yung mga positions na butas sila in the previous conference. And in their previous game, unfortunately, they were really depleted. They lost to PLDT. But first things first, if they want to enter the top 4 in the semifinals round, they have to be complete in terms of the lineup. Not just Signal, but for the rest of the teams of the PVL, kailangan kompleto na talaga yung mga players nila on the floor.
Right.
Now, I want to talk about PLDT on the other side because Signal was lacking a bit of players. Pero for PLDT, obviously, one who stood out was Mika Reyes, scoring 14 points. So what did you think of her whole performance in that match?
Yeah, she took a back seat in the open conference in terms of scoring. The fans were actually wondering kung bakit medyo bumaba yung laro ni Mika Reyes. So it's nice to see her regain that top scorer position. And hindi lang yan yung first time na nag-top scorer siya, even in the previous games. And she got a big boost because of the defense of Cas Arado. She was digging at 86%.
Wow.
I was looking at the stat sheet, and they have a wonderful setter also in Rhea de Macolangan. So yung tatlong key players na yun will really do the trick for the high-speed hitters.
Well, so far, it's like a renaissance conference para kay Mika. I think last conference, correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, parang she was trying to get to know everybody. Yes, she knows everybody, obviously, but I mean, from a chemistry standpoint, the whole team, di ba? Parang medyo maganda linalaro from a chemistry standpoint. Jules Samonte has been great for them too. Mika, as you mentioned, number 1 in terms of middle blocking. Yung points have been so good. Are you concerned, as we go back to the opponent of Signal, just quickly, are you concerned about the Ces Molina injury? Because she was an MVP candidate before that ankle injury.
I am concerned because she is the best player on the floor for Signal. In times na nagsastruggle sila, Jel Cayuna would always find Ces Molina kahit saang position man siya mapunta. And they would cut the momentum of their opponents and eventually come back down from the deficit. So I would like to see a healthy Ces Molina, but just in case she won't be playing because of her injury, meron naman silang nahanap na bagong star in Cla Abriam, which was the top scorer in their previous game.
It's all about stepping up talaga. Now, let's talk about that match between the Team Army and Creamline. Talk about the impact that Jovelyn Gonzaga had, will have, and always will have para dito sa team niya.
I'm sure you covered her a lot of times also, Denise, and we know that when she returned, alam ko na magiging competitive, mas competitive na ulit yung Army. There was a time that they were parang at the top of all the standings na ang hirap talaga talunin ng Army. And with Jovelyn Gonzaga back in the fold with a lot of experience from the sands.
SEA Games,
And being the veteran that she is, ang laki nung naibalik niya sa offense and defense ng Army.
At sabi niya, kondisyon siya because of the SEA Games exposure. They're going to obviously go up against Creamline. Tots and Gem have been amazing. And now, the last 2 games, Eliza has really started to raise her game, hearing all the talk around her. What are your thoughts of Creamline going into that matchup?
We talked about this already multiple times na nakikita natin si Gemma and Tots in the top scorer position. But when it comes to big games, parang yun ata yung feel ni Eliza mag-top scorer siya. Na parang eto na, semifinals na, A-game na talagang dadali niya. And the leadership that she has provided to Creamline has brought them to the number 1 seed. So again, Creamline, it's a very difficult team to beat, as you always know. But with the injection of the 2 foreign teams, I'm interested to see how they'll fare against international squads.
We'll have you back for that when we talk about those 2 foreign teams. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. And to everybody watching us, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Denise Tan.
I'm Boom Gonzalez, and this has been The Game.